Every day, all of us are trying to find answers to some or the other question. And in that process, we search the internet, researching and scrolling through multiple web pages. Sometimes we get to our answers soon, and at times it takes ages to get to the answer. With generative AI, one could find answers to their questions within seconds. And don't get me wrong here, I have been working with generative AI for a while, and I would like to share something with all of you. A secret sauce behind these generative AI models and how it is able to find answers within seconds, which takes hours for us. So let's first understand what RAG is. So RAG is equivalent to Retrieval Augmented Generation. Let's break it down to understand it better. So what was our end goal? It was to answer a question given the context, right? This explains the augmented generation part of the equation. But what about retrieval? This is exactly what we do when we search for information on the internet. We scroll through multiple web pages and select the ones which are useful for us. In a similar manner, retrieval systems are capable of taking a query and finding out relevant documents, pages and whatnot. It's like a search engine but built on your knowledge base. So that explains RAG. It first retrieves the documents relevant to our query and then use that as a context which then the LLM uses to answer our questions. But do you think this approach always works as we expect? Again, don't get me wrong here. RAG is a wonderful tool. However, there are things one should take care of while building things around RAG. So as I explained earlier, RAG is a system consisting of multiple parts: retrieval, augmentation and generation. So retrieval is a part where the system needs to fetch relevant context for a given query. Now here is where the problem arises. If the retrieved context itself is inaccurate, then the generated answer will also be inaccurate. Doesn't matter what LLM you are going to use. So what should we ideally do about this? See, there are multiple ways to deal with this issue. And I'm going to talk about 3 proven ways that will improve the accuracy of your RAG workflows. And we will start with something simpler and then we'll move on to the sophisticated ones, the last one being my personal favorite. The first way to improve your RAG workflow is to re-rank the results retrieved by your retrieval system. Actually, if you observe, that's what Google does before showing the search results to the users. And I'm not saying that we are going to build Google search here. However, we are just going to add an additional step to rank the results before feeding them as context to the LLM. Now, the only drawback is that if the retrieved documents are irrelevant to the query, then re-ranking is kind of superfluous in nature. So the next technique will try to deal with this issue to some extent. So what are we going to do there? We will try to just rewrite the query altogether before the retrieval takes place. This is also known as multi-query retrieval. Here we are going to ask the LLM to rewrite our question in n different ways, and the retrieval system would fetch the results for each of these queries independently and then feed the distinct results to the LLM as context. Now this eliminates spurious matches and gives retrieval system a second or even a third opinion, which is always better than one. Now not just that, one can even combine first and the second technique, that is use multi-query to rewrite the query in n different ways and then fetch the relevant documents for each and then re-rank them before feeding it to LLM. Now the third and the final way to deal with retrieval issues is really important. This method ensures that nearby chunks are presented to the LLM in the order they appear in the original document. It also adds in chunks that are not marked as relevant, but are sandwiched between highly relevant chunks, further improving the context provided to LLM. This method provides a substantial improvement in RAG performance and it is called relevant segment extraction. Now I'm telling this with my own experience. With these methods working together or in isolation, it's a guarantee that it will improve the overall RAG workflow. So if you want to learn more about these techniques in detail, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And if you are interested in building applications using generative AI, do have a look at my curated playlist that explains it step by step. I've kept the link for the playlist here. So thanks for listening. I hope you liked it. See you in the next video.